Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am using the betterpress system to make sympathy cards. Even though it is a holiday season, life does go on and our loved ones do pass away. So I found myself having to make some sympathy cards, so I thought I would do that using the betterpress system. This is my first time using the betterpress system, so if you're interested in seeing how I use that to make some sympathy cards, then please keep on watching. For today's process video, I am using from Pinkfresh Studio the Thinking of You set and the Timeless Tulips set. The betterpress system is a system you can use with the Spelt Binders Platinum 6 die cutting machine, and it is sold separately. I did purchase this a while back, but this is the first time I'm using it, and there are plates here that you can use just for the betterpress system. So you'll see that it is magnetized there with the grayscale, you can see, and it has grids that you can mark for the A5 card system. It did come with the betterpress ink. It's just black, it's a mini cube, and you can see me struggling with that because I don't know how that's going to work. Now on the betterpress plate system, there are magnets in the four corners, so you know exactly where they're going to be inlaid. Under the gray magnetic portion, there are 3 shims that come with the system, and I realized that I should have put those in because the engraving was not that great. So I'm running it through the system again, and you can see that it does come out better. It also came with 3 different types of cardstock for the betterpress system. So those are what I'm using now. And it comes with like a white color, an ivory color, and a gray color. I don't remember exactly what they're called. And I guess they are planning to come out with thicker ones as well. Now, Spellbinders does say when you're inking the system to not just blot it on there, but give it a little twist. And you'll see that I am trying to do that. Remember, the struggle is real while I'm trying to figure out how to use this system. So you'll see that I am doing that again. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm struggling to ink the betterpress plates without getting the ink on the gray portion of the magnetic part because sometimes it does show through, but I can't figure it out. And they suggest using the Ranger's ink solvent to clean it off. I ended up using my ink remover for the StazOn ink because that's all I happen to have, and I don't know if that is made of the same ingredients as what Sizzix recommends, so I will be purchasing that on my next purchase shopping spree that I go through. So I'm going to make several of these, and you'll see that I am really struggling with the depth, with the amount of ink I need to put on, all of that. The Spellbinders betterpress system also comes with this yellow tape that you can use with this. I just happen to use my mint tape from scrapbook.com because I have it on a tape dispenser. I also had a small magnetic sheet that I thought I would use on the bottom to get a better impression, but it made too good of an impression and it smeared in between. So I decided not to use that one. This time I'm trying it with another shim on top, a shim that comes with the Sizzix system, just so I can see. It's like a sheet of cardstock paper, and again I'm trying to make it so that it's clear, and this time I'm using a gray cardstock from the betterpress system to see if that's going to work. You'll see here that it does make a better impression, but it still smears a little, so I'm still on the quest to find the best way to use this betterpress system. I happen to have some letterpress paper that I ordered, I don't know, a long time ago, so I decided to try that. I am putting some little tabbies on my Tim Holtz paper trimmer so I know exactly the dimensions for an A2 size card. Now this letterpress paper is much thicker than the ones that Sizzix sent over, so I'm curious how this is going to work. Again, I'm using the Thinking of You set from Pinkfresh Studio. I'm trying to put ink on there without getting it all smeared because I know that this paper is thicker, so I'm trying to be more careful. And you'll see here that once again I've smeared it. I've done it several times afterwards, but I'm not gonna make you struggle with me. I've also tried to do just the letterpress with sympathy on there, and that works as well. Not as deep as I'd like it to be, so I decided to move on. I'm moving on to the Timeless Tulips set from Pinkfresh Studio. I love tulips. Anything tulips and peonies, I will most likely have already. So I'm trying this again. I'm using the betterpress ink. I'm also going to use the paper that came with it, and I'm only inking the sentiment portion. Now I decide to try it on 110-pound cardstock, the cardstock I use just to make cards, and I am only inking the sentiment again, and I'm trying to see how deep the impression is going to go and if it's going to smear. Again, it's not the best impression, but I guess it'll do. Now I'm going to try to make it with putting ink on the entire plate, and I'm also using the cardstock that came with the betterpress system. Let's see how it turns out, and it does turn out okay. It's not as clear as I like, but I will be making a few more because I do like to batch make these cards. I do like how this turns out, but the ink is kind of smeared. But I realized I'm going to have to do a lot more practicing to make sure this works. But I am batch processing these as well. I'm trying all the different colors that came with the Sizzix betterpress system. And here I am finally satisfied. It's not the best looking card, but I'm okay with it. Now that I'm done using the betterpress system, I decide I am going to watercolor these flowers. I have the Tim Holtz glass mat, and for the blues, I am using the mini ink pads from Altenew, Misty Morning and Cloudy Sky. And for the greens, I'm using from Simon Says Stamps, the mini ink cubes, Cabbage and Artichoke. Now for sympathy cards, I like to do something really soft. So one I'm sending to a male, and so I decided to use the soft blue colors. And for the others, I'm going to be using the soft green colors. Now what I like to do with watercoloring is I have a watercolor paintbrush. I also have a tub of water. You'll see that on the top of my screen. And I like to get the flower portion wet before I actually start painting. That way it's very subtle and very clean, you know. And one thing with watercolors is you have to remember, it's not perfect. It's kind of a fuzzy design, which makes it perfect for imperfections. And that's me because I am not an artist. So you'll see here that I'm watering all the greenery and the flower portion. And I am going to use the lighter green and then bring in the darker green and then mush it all together again. Mush it, that's not a technical word. Paint over it to blend in with the lighter green portions as well. I painted all of the Thinking of You cards. Now I'm moving on to Timeless Tulips. Now for these, I decided to use a soft pink color, and I'm using the mini ink cubes from Altenew, Pink Diamond and Pink Quartz. And for the greens, I'm keeping it the same with the Simon Says Stamp, Cabbage and Artichoke. I am taking those ink cubes and I'm smushing it onto the white portion of my glass mat just so I can see the kinds of colors and ink it down or water it down before I put it onto my card. And I am making these all soft pink. I did try to paint these first with the watercolor before I wet the image, and I noticed that didn't work well, so I went back to taking my paintbrush and putting water on the image before placing paint on there. Did that make sense? I don't know. You guys have to forgive me because I am so rusty of doing voiceovers. Then I go and do all the green portions. This time I decide to use the lighter green portion for the stems of the tulips, and I'm using the darker green for the eucalyptus leaves. Now for the actual card portion. So I decide to take my Tim Holtz paper trimmer. I am cutting this down to 5 1/4 by 4. That way I have a little border around the edge of the card. Now, once I put that down, I decide I want to put another border around the image. So I take light pink and light blue cardstock, and I'm going to trim it just bigger, tiniest bit bigger than 5 1/4 and 4 inches. I'm using 1/4 of an eighth double-sided adhesive. This is the tear away tape, I think is what it's called. I'll have it linked down below. And I'm using that to just adhere the image to the solid cardstock. Then I'm going to take my foam adhesive. Now this is the 3M foam adhesive that I've had for a super duper long time. And I'm using that to pop up the solid cardstock to put it onto the base of the card. I'm also using the glue press that I have to put some liquid glue on the foam adhesive because sometimes it's not quite as sticky. And just so you know, with it being that weight, it still meets the requirement of 1 postage stamp. Now I'm also going to do that with the Thinking of You card base. You'll see here that I'm getting a light blue, and I'm going to adhere that using the 1/8 inch adhesive to the cardstock, the solid cardstock, and then I'm going to use the foam adhesive to pop that onto an A2 card size. Here I'm showing you what the 2 cards look like, and I'm very pleased with how they turned out. Now I thought I would also show you how I'm going to watercolor these using the Spectrum Noir Aqua marker paints. Using the same method by using the marker and putting it onto the glass mat, I am using the colors Peach, Spice, Sage, and Meadow for the Timeless Tulips. Again, placing water on the card before using the actual watercolor paints. I had not tried this method before, so I thought I would give it a chance, and I don't know which I prefer as of right now. I did like both. They're both just as easy. So I would say whatever products you have on hand is what you need to use. Now for the thinking of you stamps, I decided to use blue again, and I'm using Lake Blue and Seagrass to color in this portion. And I'm using the same greens, Sage and Meadow from the Spectrum Noir Aqua markers, and I'm painting them the exact same way. And again, I don't know which ones I prefer. I think they both turned out great. And I mat these with a solid cardstock and then make them into a card, and I'm very pleased. Well, thank you so much for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.